farmer is standing in a field in what will one day be called Kenya. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know a lot of things, like what's about to happen to him. Behind him, someone picks up a piece of obsidian, not randomly, with purpose, with aim. The edge of that rock is sharper than most surgical steel manufactured today, and the farmer never sees it coming. That was 27,000 years ago. Archaeologists found the site at Nataruk, the oldest evidence of organized mass killing ever discovered. Not one body, not a fight that got out of hand. 27 skeletons, bound hands, crushed skulls, blunt force trauma patterns that told one very clear story. Somebody planned this. Somebody thought about how to do it better. Somebody optimized. That instinct never left us, not once in 27,000 years. And I have spent an embarrassing amount of time going down this rabbit hole because I genuinely cannot get over how fast we moved from that piece of obsidian to something capable of erasing a city in 8 seconds. Every single era looked at what came before and said, okay, but what if we made it so much worse? And they always found a way. Let's start with the rock, because everyone kind of glosses over the rock, and honestly, the rock deserves more credit as a feat of engineering than it gets. A napped flint hand axe from the lower Paleolithic, we're talking about 700,000 years ago, had a cutting edge measured in microns, not millimeters. Microns, sharper than obsidian, sharper in some tests than a modern scalpel, and a human being made that, by hand, with another rock, before writing, before farming, before literally anything we'd recognize as civilization. And then someone attached it to a stick, which sounds stupid until you realize that a hafted axe multiplies striking force by roughly 300% compared to a handheld stone. Somebody figured out leverage. Somebody did physics before physics existed as a concept. 5 stars for ingenuity, minus several thousand for what it was used for. But okay, the stone on a stick is horrifying in its own way. Limited range though. You have to be close. You have to look at the person. And then someone, somewhere in the Levant, roughly 18,000 years ago, picked up a thin piece of wood, bent it, strung a cord between the ends, and created the first true standoff killing system in human history. The bow? Listen. I want you to actually think about what the bow meant. Before this, if you wanted to kill somebody, you had to be near them. Near enough to smell them. Near enough that they could fight back. The bow changed the entire psychological architecture of violence. Suddenly, you could kill a human being from 250 meters away. 250 meters. That's more than 2 football fields. They couldn't see you. They had no idea where the threat was coming from. You could kill them from a hillside while eating lunch. Historians estimate that in Neolithic warfare, the introduction of the bow increased casualties in large-scale conflicts by somewhere between 40 and 60%. Not because bows were magic, because the person being shot at couldn't do anything about it. That helplessness, that terrifying sense of being struck by something you can't defend against, from a direction you can't identify, that's the whole innovation. Not the arrow, the helplessness. The Bronze Age gave us something a bit different though. The bronze sword, specifically the Egyptian khopesh, which showed up around 2500 BCE and lasted for over 1,000 years, was the first weapon purpose-engineered to defeat defensive technology. The curved blade wasn't decorative. It was designed geometrically to hook over shields and strike the arm or neck behind them. Somebody sat down and thought, okay, shields are a problem. What shape defeats a shield? And they answered that question in copper. The Battle of Megiddo in 1457 BCE, the first battle ever recorded in detailed historical documentation, and what a choice for first recorded battle, showed what bronze weapons combined with tactical thinking could actually do. Thutmose III moved his army through a narrow mountain pass that his generals told him was suicidal, hit a coalition of Canaanite kings from an unexpected angle, and shattered them inside 3 hours. The Egyptian records list the captured loot: 924 chariots, 2,238 horses, 200 prisoners of royal blood. They counted everything, because even then, victory needed to be measured to be believed. Then comes medieval Europe, and the moment where killing transitions from a personal art to something you could almost call industrial. The trebuchet. Okay, the trebuchet gets romanticized as this cool medieval toy, and I need you to recalibrate completely. A full-scale counterweight trebuchet weighed up to 20 tons. 20 tons. It could launch a stone projectile weighing 150 kilograms. That's 330 pounds. Over 300 meters. And not just once, trained crews could reload and fire every 90 seconds. Do the math. That's 150 kilograms of flying rock arriving every minute and a half, indefinitely, until your wall or your will collapsed. But here's the part that genuinely broke something in my brain. During the siege of Kaffa in 1346, Mongol forces used trebuchets to launch something other than rocks. They launched corpses, bodies of soldiers who had died of plague, over the walls, into the city, as a deliberate, calculated biological weapon. And it worked. Genoese merchants fled Kaffa by ship, carrying the infection with them to Sicily, to Genoa, to Marseille. Historians estimate the Black Death killed between 75 and 200 million people across Eurasia, somewhere between 30 and 60% of Europe's entire population. Dead, tracing a chain of causality that begins with a trebuchet in a Crimean port city. One weapon, one decision, 200 million people. And I need you to sit with that number for just a second before we keep moving, because we're going to keep encountering numbers like this, and they're going to keep getting bigger. And the only way to genuinely feel them is to slow down. 200 million people, that's roughly the current population of Brazil. Gone from one siege technique. If you're still here, and this disturbs you as much as it disturbs me, subscribe, because we haven't even touched gunpowder yet, and somehow it keeps getting worse from here. The crossbow deserves its own moment before we get to gunpowder, because the crossbow did something philosophically violent to medieval society before it did anything physically violent. In 1139, Pope Innocent II and the Second Lateran Council officially banned the crossbow, declared it hateful to God and unfit for Christians. And the reason was not really religious. The reason was that a crossbow in the hands of a peasant with 2 weeks of training could kill a knight in full plate armor who had been training since childhood. That wasn't just a military problem, that was a social crisis. Knights were the ruling class because knights had a monopoly on organized violence. Strip that monopoly, and you strip the justification for the entire feudal hierarchy. The Pope wasn't protecting Christianity, he was protecting aristocracy. It didn't work, by the way. Crossbows became ubiquitous within decades. Some historians argue the crossbow was the beginning of the end of European feudalism, not the Black Death, not the Reformation, but a bent piece of wood that let a commoner kill a nobleman from 300 feet away. 5 stars for social disruption, 0 stars for the nobility's feelings. Okay. Gunpowder. Chinese alchemists discovered it in the 9th century while literally trying to make an immortality elixir. Which is, that's a genuinely incredible way to accidentally invent something that would kill hundreds of millions of people. They were trying to live forever, and instead created the mechanism by which everyone else would die faster. The irony is almost too perfect. The first fire lance, a bamboo tube packed with gunpowder designed to belch flame at enemies, appears in Chinese records around 994 CE. It didn't fire projectiles. It was basically a terrifying flamethrower wand. But the principle was established. By the 13th century, the Mongols were using metal-barreled proto-cannons. By 1346, the same year as the Kaffa plague siege, busy year, cannons appeared at the Battle of Crécy. English forces used them against French knights. Didn't do much that day, honestly. But the statement was made. The statement was, your armor doesn't matter anymore. Because here's what gunpowder fundamentally meant for warfare. A knight in full Gothic plate armor represented roughly 10 years of training and an investment equivalent to maybe $500,000 in modern terms. The metallurgy, the logistics, the years of sword and lance and horsemanship, all of it pointed toward creating one extremely difficult person to kill. And then along came a lead ball weighing 30 grams, traveling at 400 meters per second, which punched through that armor like it was decorative tin. The entire economic and social logic of medieval warfare, 10 years of training, $500,000 of equipment, a lifetime of cultivation, rendered obsolete by something a blacksmith's apprentice could manufacture in an afternoon. The musket, arriving in the 16th century, industrialized this erasure completely. 6 weeks of basic training with a musket made a peasant conscript militarily comparable to a professional soldier who had trained for years. Armies stopped being small collections of elite warriors and started being enormous masses of expendable humans. The Battle of Breitenfeld in 1631, one of the largest battles of the 30 Years' War, put over 70,000 soldiers on a single field. 70,000. Mostly men who had been farmers 6 months earlier, handed a musket and told to stand in a line and shoot when ordered. Casualty rates at Breitenfeld, roughly 7,000 dead in a single day, from muskets, cannon, and cavalry. 7,000 in one day on one field. Then someone put a crank on it. The Gatling gun, patented in 1862 by Richard Gatling, could fire 400 rounds per minute from 6 rotating barrels. 400 per minute. Gatling, and this is a genuinely fascinating piece of history, claimed he invented it to reduce war's casualties. His theory was that a weapon this overwhelming would make armies so small that fewer overall people would die in any given conflict. He was, to put it gently, catastrophically wrong about human nature. By World War I, machine guns were firing 600 rounds per minute, and armies were using tactics designed for the musket era, lines of infantry advancing in formation across open ground, against technology that could cut down 20 men per second. The Battle of the Somme on July 1st, 1916. 19,000 British soldiers died in a single day. 19,000 in one day, because generals told men to walk forward into machine gun fire and trusted that artillery bombardment had cleared the way. It had not cleared the way. World War I is where weapons stop feeling like technology and start feeling like something else entirely. The chemical weapons. April 22nd, 1915, Ypres, Belgium. At 5 in the afternoon, German forces opened 150 tons of chlorine gas along a 4-mile front. The French and Algerian troops holding that line saw a yellow-green cloud drifting toward them. Nobody knew what it was. Some accounts describe soldiers initially thinking it was a smokescreen. Then they started breathing it. Chlorine gas reacts with the moisture in lung tissue and forms hydrochloric acid. Inside your lungs. You don't get shot, you don't get blown up, you drown. Slowly, in fluid your own body produces in response to the burning. 10,000 casualties from that single attack. And the truly obscene part, and I mean this sincerely, this isn't just for emphasis, is that chlorine was considered relatively mild compared to what came later. Mustard gas, introduced in 1917, was not designed to kill quickly. It was designed to incapacitate, to create enormous numbers of casualties requiring care and attention. Soldiers who were alive but suffering severe burns across exposed skin and eyes, often permanently blinded. It could take 4 to 5 weeks to die from mustard gas exposure, 4 to 5 weeks of blindness, blistering, progressive organ failure. The medical corps spent those weeks watching men die in ways that no battlefield surgeon had ever needed to treat before. Field hospitals overwhelmed. Nurses and doctors exposed themselves trying to treat the untreatable. Over 1 million casualties from chemical weapons in World War I. The weapons were considered so uniquely horrifying that in 1925, the nations that had just spent 4 years using them agreed never to use them again, which tells you exactly how bad it was. When people who just spent 4 years gassing each other decided to write a treaty saying, "Let's not do that." By the way, tell me in the comments, which weapon from all these eras seems the most insane to you? Because we haven't gotten to the actual end yet, and I think the answer is about to change. August 6th, 1945, 8:15 in the morning. Hiroshima. A B-29 bomber called Enola Gay releases a single bomb over the center of the city. That bomb, little boy, 4,000 kilograms, uranium-235 core, detonates at 600 meters altitude. In the first millisecond, the temperature at the hypocenter reaches several 100,000 degrees Celsius. Not a misprint. Several 100,000. Everything within a kilometer simply ceases to exist in its previous form. Buildings, trees, people, not destroyed in the conventional sense. Vaporized. The fireball expands. The shockwave travels at the speed of sound and then overtakes it. And within 10 seconds, roughly 70,000 people are dead. 70,000 in 10 seconds. By the end of 1945, the total death toll from radiation sickness, burns, and injuries reaches somewhere between 130 and 200,000 people. From one bomb, from one morning. And Hiroshima was the smaller of the 2 bombs used. Nagasaki, 3 days later, was the last time nuclear weapons were used in combat. So far, the Tsar Bomba, tested by the Soviet Union on October 30th, 1961, was never intended to be used in combat. It was a demonstration, a message. 58 megatons of explosive yield, the equivalent of 3,000 Hiroshima bombs detonating simultaneously. The shockwave circled the Earth 3 times. Windows shattered in Norway and Finland, more than 1,000 kilometers from the test site. The mushroom cloud rose to 67 kilometers, well into the stratosphere. Observers in the aircraft that dropped it, at a distance considered safe, still reported their plane being thrown violently by the shockwave. And to understand the scale, at peak Cold War stockpiles in the 1980s, the United States and Soviet Union together possessed over 70,000 nuclear warheads. 70,000. The combined yield would have been sufficient to trigger nuclear winter, a collapse in global temperatures caused by debris blocking sunlight, that would have killed most complex life on the planet. Not most humans, most complex life. The bacteria would have been fine. The bacteria are always fine. We built, deliberately, with enormous investment of scientific genius and national treasure, enough weapons to accidentally end most life on Earth while trying to threaten each other. And here is the question I've been sitting with since I started researching this, and I don't have a satisfying answer. Was the nuclear bomb actually the last weapon? Or did we just blink? Because every previous limit we set on ourselves turned out to be a pause. The crossbow ban lasted 2 decades before everyone was using crossbows. The Geneva Protocol of 1925 prohibited chemical weapons and was violated repeatedly throughout the 20th century. Every treaty, every convention, every solemn agreement to stop inventing more efficient ways to kill has eventually bent or broken. Not because humans are uniquely evil, but because the pressure to gain military advantage is structural. It doesn't go away when you sign a document. Right now, hypersonic missiles are under development by multiple nations, capable of traveling at 25 times the speed of sound in unpredictable flight paths that existing missile defense systems cannot track. Right now, research into genetically targeted biological agents continues in various forms in various countries. Right now, autonomous weapons systems, drones that can identify and engage targets without a human decision in the loop, are being tested and deployed. And the terrible, uncomfortable logic of this entire 27,000-year journey is that it has never been about cruelty. It's been about advantage. Every weapon on this list, the obsidian hand axe, the bow, the trebuchet, the crossbow, the musket, the machine gun, the bomb, was invented by people trying to solve a problem. Survive, win, protect. The problem is that solving those problems created new ones, and solving those created bigger ones. And here we are at the other end of the chain from that farmer in Kenya, sitting on enough megatons to end most of what lives. The nuclear bomb may actually be the first weapon in history where the logic broke. Every weapon before it gave the person who possessed it an advantage. Nuclear weapons give the possessor only one guarantee: mutual annihilation. They can't be used to win, they can only be used to end. And so, for now, for the first time, possibly because of nothing more sophisticated than the mathematics of shared extinction, we haven't used them. From 200 grams of flint to 58 megatons of thermonuclear fire. From one man in a Kenyan field to 140,000 in a single morning in Hiroshima. From a wound, you could see to a wound that irradiated your grandchildren. We never stopped for a single second. The only question that matters now is whether the pause we're currently in is different from all the others, or whether somewhere, in some lab or some Ministry of Defense, someone is already working on whatever comes next. And knowing everything we just covered, what do you think the answer is?